Good evening, all. Ira Epstein with your Spider ETF stock market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for a down day, a Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. And as you can see behind me, there's a lot of red on the screen. Yeah, you get a few greens here and there, but it's mostly a red screen behind me. We saw corrections taking place, but why? Well, it dawned on me late today, not early in the morning, to be honest with you. I forgot all about the fact that tomorrow opens up the Supreme Court where they're going to hear the arguments on the Trump tariffs. Are they going to go positive, negative? Court doesn't have to answer right away. But as you listen to the arguments being made and the questions that the justices ask from the pleading attorneys, you get a very good feel as to what's going on. So I think we want to see that. That's going to be important. The next event we all know, it's New York City's mayor, it's the races for other high offices, New Jersey, Virginia, I can go on and on. Will New York end up with a brand new social experiment? I expect they will. How the people react to it, I don't know. If they react with their pocketbooks, they'll move. It's really that simple. It's not very complicated. They will move. The rich people will say, I've had enough. I'm not paying for grocery stores. I'm not paying for this and that are all part of this experiment to make everything work. We have a mini one of those experiments in Chicago, and living here, I can share with you, it doesn't work. So you take it from there. But I think we have one of the worst governments in Chicago that I have seen, and I've lived here most of my life ever. I thought some of the other mayors were bad. This sets a whole new tone as to not understanding what's really going on. That's from my point of view. From his point of view, he's helping a certain element of people that he thinks needs the help at all costs, and that's what he's doing. There's always three sides to an argument. I have mine, he has his, and I'm sure the one in the center is the correct one. All right. Then we get a lot of economic data coming out tomorrow. You've got the Mortgage Bankers Association. You've got the ADP private sector jobs, all right? We lost jobs last time. We're going to gain them back. The market thinks we are. S&P Global Group, the final October service sector PMIs coming out. Then the ISM will come out with their October service sector index. We saw the oil stocks go up 6.5 million. But at the same time, we took down the gas stocks and the distillates through there. So why did the stock market off of all this just have to break? I've given you all what the events, but I'm wondering, at some point in time, does the market think, number one, we're getting ahead of ourselves, things are getting a little frothy? Why not? That can be the case. We didn't get the break in the August-September timeframe. We just kept coming up. So we're backing off here. Do I think the economy's in trouble? Not even remotely. That's the first important thing. Do I think that some of the stocks that broke today overdid it on the break? I do. You know, you look at Uber. Why was it down $5 today? By the way, it made back half the loss. But this just gives you an idea of some of these. When I saw their earnings and I see what they're doing and their expansion, I think it's in pretty good shape. Tesla, down $24 as their vote is coming up. Do they want to keep the genius behind the company? Or are they going to say, you want too much money, we're not with you? NVDA backing off, a company that did great and probably the best of the group right now, in my opinion, is Lilly and the pharmaceuticals, as I look at that. When you looked at Amazon today, you finally saw it pulled back. Now, Amazon has just had deal upon deal, OpenAI, I can name company upon company, going into business with them. The market that can't yet find its footing is Netflix. You realize 8 weeks ago, we were all talking about the best of the best of the best of the cable companies that were out there, the streamers, if you will. Netflix into the toilet, and away it went. Apple held its own today. Home Depot surprisingly held its own at the expense of Restoration Hardware, which backed off. So when we look at SoFi, I was looking at how SoFi was doing. You know, I saw yesterday McDermott talking, and he was talking about their client base and who they have and the government and how they deal with it. Well, as you look at the chart action, temporarily, you now have the pattern defensive. Lower highs, lower lows, coming back down. I look for the support to come in at the 18-day average of closes simply because it's done it each and every time. So that makes sense to me right off the bat. It stopped at the upper Bollinger Band, and 95% of the time markets stay within the bands. They don't stay above or below them. 5% of the time they do. And momentum has been in need of a correction. It's got it. Do I think the stock's in trouble? I do not. Do I think it's in a buy mode yet? No, it still has the lower highs, lower lows, but the momentum is pointing up in the sense, or the bias, I should say, since it's over the 18-day average, and momentum is still slightly pointing down in it. Then we come to Reddit, and all you heard yesterday, that's all I heard. Reddit makes money no matter what happens in AI. Everybody loves it, except the poor guys that bought the market up here just recently, and they're looking at the market down 10, 13% on them. 1, 2, 3. Not everything goes up forever. And buying over an upper Bollinger Band or selling under one, you will never hear me tell you to do that. I think that is fool's play. Then Brothers, one of you wrote me, oh, their earnings coming out, it's all going to be great. Well, I hope for your sake it does. The market's been in a downtrend. In order to reverse the downtrend, you've got to get up and over Monday's high. That's going to be your key, 57.27. If you can't do that, it's still opening the door for you to drop back into the 50.60 level. When we look at healthcare, you know I'm all in favor of this. Everybody, especially having just had an operation and knowing how much care you need to get better. I'm fortunate. My wife's here taking care of me, but I sleep most of the time. And I called the doctor. I said, why am I sleeping so much? And he said, Ira, come on. You're X years old. Your body needs to sleep to recover. He said, when you're awake, how do you really feel? I said, great. I said, my back doesn't feel like I had an operation. He said, it's happening. You're doing just fine. Higher lows, higher highs coming into the upper Bollinger Band, and that's where you stop today. Makes all the sense in the world. That's where the pros stepped out. They looked around them. Everything's falling. I'm coming out of the market. Netflix still has the embedded bearish reading. Don't be a bottom picker. I'd rather buy the market, if I were you, when the market's in an uptrend going higher, than trying to throw a knife at this and say, I know where that bottom is. You don't know where that bottom is. Uber, in 48 hours, it has gone from great, almost a new high for the stock, to the tank. You do realize you went from over 100 down to under today, 90.08. I mean, a $10 break just like that in the market. Did any real news come out that's bearish? Not in my opinion, but it had its run up. What number did it stop at? 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 If you're not a believer of it, God bless you. You don't have to be. There's guys like me that need you to be there to be a buyer when some of us are trying to come out. Same thing happened in Tesla. You're trying to break out of sideways action on a Bollinger Band top. It can be done. It's not often. And you got thrown right back to the support at 443. The buyers are going to show themselves right there. If you get under, in my opinion, 439.61, they'll walk back and say, okay, what are the fundamentals going to look like? How's this vote going to go? Blah, blah, blah. Joby, right back down to what I thought it could get to, which is another challenge of the 100-day average in the lower Bollinger Band. Now, there's another plane company that came out, I think it's called Beta, that came out. They did an offering in this market, and we'll see what happens. But electric planes are the future. The question is short hauls, long hauls, how do they work? What are they going to do? In XLF, the financial sector, came down yesterday to the Bollinger Band, bounced today, having great trouble at the 18-day average, maybe the 100-day average. At best, it can neutralize its bear trend. At worst, it resumes the downtrend. When we come to the industrial sector, you just came through everything on the downside. Now, for the longest period of time, I have said this is the most difficult chart to trade. It goes nowhere. It just whips back and forth, and that's really what it's doing. Then we come to the energy sector, which is trying, but not succeeding, trying to develop a downtrend. It's developed a bias, if you will, that drove the market a bit down to the 18-day average, but you couldn't quite close under it. So the bias is still up. The swing line is down, and momentum, which had been overbought, isn't really overbought anymore. Then we get to the gold market, and there are people that are licking 10% loss wounds, big time wounds. There are people in Bitcoin, you realize it went from 128,000 just a couple of weeks ago, and it got under 100,000 today. Is that over a 25% loss? You can count on it. It is. So there's a lot of pain in here from people that just rode the wave. It's never going to end. Remember, I told you it was coming up here, and I heard people then talking $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 gold. I was around when the Hunt brothers tried to corner silver. I was around when gold had its runs. Nothing lasts forever. That doesn't mean in time you won't get to those numbers. It doesn't mean there isn't an event. This isn't it. And that is the problem that this has had. So you've come back down. And now what gold is going to do, in my opinion, is establish a higher range and trade normally, not this crazy run that it did from August all the way up there. Could it happen again? Absolutely. Do I expect it? I do not. Then we get to Palantir. All I keep hearing is what a great company it is. It is a great company. It's a really good company. But again, you went up here, got over that Bollinger Band, stayed there, and all of a sudden a vacuum happens in the market, 185.69. Go look at their earnings. You tell me what's so bearish about the earnings. All I can see is that maybe it got ahead of the numbers. That's about it. But they took all the wind out of the sail at one time. It's got to rebuild. And that's chart upon chart upon chart. So I decided today to add Microsoft to the list. Where is it? We know it's one of the best ones. Up here at 553, suddenly 10% drop. You're back into the 507 level. All right, so you're not alone. Your portfolio is down, not up most likely. And the reason is you're getting corrections in the market. You didn't get them in the September, October period. They're coming later than they were. I don't think it changes a darn thing in the end. We'll see what happens here in BND. Came all the way to the Bollinger Band and held. There's one caveat I don't know, and I don't know how to figure it out. If the president loses the tariff situation in front of the Supreme Court, what does it do? What's the immediate impact? What's the short term, medium term? I don't know. That, I think, has got traders a little spooked, and that's why I think money came out. The dollar in an unknown situation, up and away, versus the euro, which is just crashing away right now in the market. Wasn't it 3 weeks ago? The basement. Go read the area on YouTube. The basement, the dollar. And people were giving me proper, and I appreciate it, proper ideas on it. Governments aren't controlling their expenses. My recoil to that, to you, had been nobody is. Okay? It's not just the U.S. We're the best of the worst group. That's all that you can say. And with that coming down while the dollar is staying up, let's wait and see how the tariffs come out. We've got the elections to deal with in the morning. I expect New York will have a brand new mayor. We will see if he can get anything through. I can tell you in the city of Chicago, when the mayor goes to city council and tries to get things done, it's few and far between. That could be what happens in New York as well. In the meantime, I'm Ira Epstein. If you'd like to get my commentaries, trade ideas, move your cursor to the top up here. You'll see if you're on YouTube, there's a wheel there. Give that a click. Go to the website, sign up. I'm Ira. You take care.